Welcome back, boxing fans, to another great boxing show with Sean on Boxing, otherwise known as the Trump of the YTBC. Today I got my hair, I'm representing. So, obviously, we got some big fights this weekend. We're going to talk about some of that and more. So, hang out, chat in the comment section, give your opinions, tell me what you think, but be respectful. We don't need no clowns in the comment section. I will see you after this quick announcement. Welcome back, everybody. Making boxing great again. That's it. Um, Obviously, we have a really big fight this weekend. Ennis versus Boots Ennis. And this is a fight really American boxing fans have been waiting for quite some time now, right? People have been pushing Boots Ennis, really excited about him, saw a lot of potential in him. People have been talking about him being the next great American welterweight fighter, the guy who's going to be pound for pound number one, following in the footsteps, of course, of Bud Crawford, Floyd Mayweather, Oscar De La Hoya, Pernell Whitaker, and obviously Sugar Ray Leonard and many more. The question is he really that good? And is he going to live up to those expectations? That's what we're here to see, right? I have no problem. I like Boots. I've been pushing him for a long time. I'm eager to see him finally step up and take on a legitimate opponent in his first unification fight, something Tank Davis has yet to do. For Boots, this is obviously shit or get off the pot type of moment for him, right? Obviously, him and Virgil Ortiz were both seen as the next era of great welterweights, just behind Spence and Bud Crawford. Obviously, we didn't get to see those guys step up and take on the kings at that time, Crawford and Spence, who moved obviously to 154 pounds. Virgil Ortiz, who was scheduled to fight Stanionis because of health issues trying to make the weight, ended up moving to 154 as well, which has left Boots Ennis by himself on this island, which has been pretty bleak, very much like a desert, not a lot to get excited about. But with the emergence of fighters like Devin Haney, Teofimo Lopez, obviously Howard, am I saying his name wrong again? And Ryan Garcia moving up to this division, it's bringing some interest, bringing some intrigue. And now, obviously, with Boots stepping in to face a hard-punching Olympian like Stanionis, it's exciting. I was super excited to see Virgil Ortiz fight Stanionis, and I'm equally as excited to see Boots Ennis step in to face Stanionis. We'll talk about how I predict this fight to unfold and let you guys leave your comments in the comment section below. Tell me, who do you think is going to win and how? So let's see who's in the house. Garden snake mentality's in the house. Is that a squirrel sleeping on your head? Yes, it is. What's up, buddy? MBGA, make boxing great again. I'm going to make the t-shirts. I'm going to start selling it on my channel. Lugs looking like Haney during weigh-ins. He doesn't have much time at that division left. That's true. And I see a lot of people, including Ego and others, talking about that. Obviously, probably the biggest problem, biggest worry for Boots was the fact that he was an IBF champion, which means there's next day rehydrate or next day sort of weight limits, right? That you can only rehydrate to so much, which for a guy like him, a big fella, that's not probably the best belt to represent. So it's probably better that now he goes on and unifies. And if he ends up dropping that belt, or he doesn't even need to drop it anymore, once you're a unified champion, I think you no longer have to follow that regulation. So we will see how that unfolds moving forward. But obviously, it'll be much better for him to fight representing one of the other sanctioning bodies. If he can't get those two belts within the next year, it's best he get out of there. I agree, Mr. T. I was eager to see him move up and take on Virgil Ortiz, but I wasn't pushing him to do it. I just thought if you can't get great fights at 147 because there's no great opponents, Stanionis and Howard, am I saying his name wrong again? Both walked away from contracts that you sent them, saying they were getting lowballed. So at that point, it seems inevitable that he should move to 154, a hot division, a lot of money in the division, a lot of fighters in the division. But with Haney, Teo, and Teo, and Ryan Garcia moving to the division, now a lot of money is starting to move to that direction as well. So you hate to miss out, especially taking on these light touches moving up to your weight division. Red Snappers in the house, what's up? When your next collab with Boxing Librarian? I haven't talked to Boxing Librarian for a million fucking years. I hope he's doing well. I don't even see his videos pop up on my feed anymore. So, I'm not sure if he's even making videos. I know he kind of pulled back, only focused on doing his, his librarian stuff. So, we will see. I have no problem. I always like chatting to him. He is a true boxing fan. Chuck Irishman says, is Boots versus Stanionis for the Ring Magazine belt? It should be both ranked number 1 and 2 at 147 by Ring. It is. That is one of the belts that is going to be on the line. IBF champions can't rehydrate over 10 pounds in the weight limit. I think the Ring is on the line. Boxing Librarian has a new channel. New channel? Oh, what's the name? I will subscribe and check him out. That's the problem, right? There's so much content on YouTube. A lot of times you just never come across it. It's never sort of pops up in your feed, and it's hard sometimes to keep track of what's going on. But I definitely want to follow him up and see what he's up to. See, even when you had problems, when him and what's his face, I can't remember his name, were really haters of Golovkin, and I was defending Golovkin, going in on them, and he was really getting in his feelings and emotionally upset when I was comparing Golovkin to guys like B-Hop and Hagler, which was a fair comparison. I didn't say he was better. I was just comparing what they've done in their career and the same way they've moved and how opportunities fell into their laps later on in their careers. It's a very fair and completely true comparison. If you think they're better, that's fine. Nobody said they weren't. It was just a fair comparison talking about Golovkin and how we could expect better things later on in his career, which obviously did happen, even though he did get screwed out of his big decision. He closed the Hardline Boxing Talk channel, but he has a new channel called Boxing Librarian. It's the same name, just a new channel. Oh, okay. Why did he close the Hardline Boxing Talk? Remember the debate with BLU and J Dill? Man, I don't remember anything. Time goes, right? So, whose channel was it on? But let's move forward and see what's going on with this thing. So here's these two guys. Obviously, 2 undefeated world champions. Boots, 33 wins. But early on in Boots' career, he was really moved kind of like an upcoming Mexican fighter. He got a lot of fights really early, but really low-level fights. Wasn't getting a lot of pressure to step up because obviously he wasn't getting a lot of push, right, until obviously he started being shown on Showtime. At that point, people were sort of seeing that he had potential, but they were wondering when Showtime was going to really put him in some really competitive fights. Whereas Stanionis, being an Olympian, obviously coming to the States as a European, he jumped in the deep end really quick, and obviously has been a little inactive over the last few years, mainly because of that whole Virgil Ortiz debacle, which is very disappointing. It's sad that things worked out the way they did because, it didn't really help Virgil. He lost a lot of momentum, and obviously it really held back Stanionis. But finally, the big fight is here. Now's his time to really make a name for himself. If he was to beat Boots Ennis, the comparisons between him and Golovkin and people of that nature would just start to blow up all over social media, especially on the YTBC. They really went in hard on you. People like to do that. It's the Trump in me. He just pulls out people's negativity. JA, what's up? This was 2016. Later, you guys became friends. Hey, what's good, Sean? What's up, pound for pound? All good. So let's take a quicker look at these guys. Obviously, neither of them have stellar resumes, right? You can see right here up until 2021, right? Boots Ennis hadn't really fought really great competition, not bad competition, but the kind of competition he was expected to beat and to beat convincingly. Finally, he stepped up and took on 140-pound ex-champion Sergey Lipinets, whose only loss had come to Mikey Garcia. So it was a real sort of what do they call that? Something test. Uh, what's the English word? I live in Taiwan. Sometimes I forget my English. But obviously he came through, did fantastic. Then faced Thomas Delorme. Obviously Thomas Delorme was well past his best. This was a long time from when Delorme fought Bud Crawford years ago. But he's still a veteran fighter with some name recognition. Fought my great Canadian fighter in Custio Clayton. Obviously had his first fight with Karen, which Karen gave him a good fight. Went in, destroyed Roman Villa. Beat, I think ex-WBA regular champion, if I'm not mistaken, and David Avician, a guy we'd seen Bud Crawford fight previously. So it was a good litmus test. There you go. A good litmus test to sort of compare how Jerron Boots Ennis handled David and how Bud Crawford handled him. Then obviously the rematch with Karen. The only good thing we can say about that fight is Karen changed his approach and made that fight far more exciting than the first fight. And now Stanionis, a guy who is coming off of a fight last year against Gabriel Mestier. Obviously, when you see 6-1, you think that guy's a bum, a cherry pick, somebody not worth talking about, but that ain't true. He is one of the guys from the PBC that was really pushed hard. And if you look at his 7 career fights, it's all against really good competition. And he is a bit of an upsetter. So that was a solid win for Stanionis. What's his face? My man Butayev. I predicted that Butayev was going to win that fight. I thought Butayev would win to become, I think, the WBA regular champion. So I was really kind of shocked and impressed with Stanionis' great performance. Obviously, a mutual opponent in Thomas Delorme on this list. Justin De La Roche, not a bad opponent. And the NC fight with Luis Calazo, which in truth, you could see the reality behind that. Calazo had a big name recognition, had been in with a lot of really good fighters, obviously was well past his prime. But to get him at that point with his name recognition for an up-and-coming Eastern European fighter, it's going to give you some attention, which obviously he greatly needs. I'm not going to be surprised at all if Stanionis wins. There's quite a few people out there that are predicting and pushing Stanionis to get the victory versus Boots. And I think a lot of that's because of the success Karen had versus Boots. But to be fair, while Stanionis is a harder puncher, I don't think he's a better boxer than Karen, right? That would be an interesting fight, Karen versus Stanionis. Maybe we'll see that down the road if Stanionis loses to Bud Crawford. That would be a fun fight, an interesting matchup between 2 European fighters. So we scroll on through. So this is Boots. He's putting up his Gennady Golovkin KO numbers, 88% KO ratio, which is fantastic. The question is, can he continue to carry that KO power against elite competition? Even though at this point, I don't know if we could label anyone at 147 pounds elite. At least at this point, we couldn't really do that. But maybe later on down the road, we will be able to. And when he moves up to 154 pounds, obviously he's a big guy, long reach, 74-inch reach, I think he has. Is he going to be able to carry that power to that division? Because that division is a deep division with a lot of power punchers, a lot of really primed fighters right now. And it'd be great to throw him into the mix. When you look at Bud Crawford and Errol Spence and Charlo, obviously they are last year's generation, right? The rest of these guys like Tim Tszyu, Ramos, Fonduro, Murdazaliev, Virgil Ortiz, the Puerto Rican kid. Why can't I think of his name? top ranked Puerto Rican kid, him, Boots Ennis. These guys are all the new generation. So it's always fun to see the new guys step up and take on the challenge. With Boots right now, he's in an impressive position. All he has to do is deliver. What do you guys think at this point? Who are you favoring? Do you think Boots is going to be able to uh, overcome the tough test in front of him with Stanionis? Or, yes, thank you, Xander Zayas. Or do you think that Stanionis is just a notch above the people that Boots Ennis has been previously in with, right? That's the one good thing about Virgil Ortiz. When we look at his early resume, he was really brought along really well and had a really good resume. I know a lot of people favored Boots Ennis over Virgil Ortiz, and I can see their point as far as long term, how potentially I see that he has more upside, more potential. But at the same time, he wasn't brought up and moved nearly as well by Showtime as Virgil Ortiz was, right? Virgil really was in there with quality fighters, champions, top level contenders, and different stylistic matchups. And, I think it really sort of, what they say, iron hardens iron or steel, iron steel. But he was definitely in with better competition. His resume is far better than Stanionis and Boots Ennis. So much so that when the Stanionis Virgil Ortiz fight was scheduled, I felt really confident that Virgil Ortiz would beat him, especially seeing how successful he was against Kavalaskis. And I feel Kavalaskis and Stanionis are similar kind of fighters. So I felt that Virgil would be able to really capitalize on his experience against a similar fighter before. I don't know about Boots, though. I don't know how he's going to deal with a fighter that has an effective jab. If Stanionis has a good chin and can take the power to counter, take a punch to land a punch. Boots so far has shown a great chin. His durability has been good. He seems, not brittle or fragile in the least. Jay says, I saw a picture of Boots' Instagram yesterday, and he looks anorexic. I thought the picture was edited to make him look like a stick. Well, that's sort of the thing going forward with regards to this fight right now. A lot of people are pushing concern towards the whole weight cut situation. And when I break it down, that's going to be obviously one of the main things I talk about as well, because, it is a concerning situation. We know that people try to drain themselves down for opportunities in divisions where they are bigger, longer, stronger, and so they can get advantages over their opponents. But eventually that ends up catching up to you. Boots Ennis is 26 years old now? So, he's no longer the teenager that he once was. So you can understand that it's going to be much harder for him to make that 147 pounds. Just look at Virgil Ortiz, right? That weight cut was almost killing him, literally almost killing him. So here's the overall card. And this card is good, but it's what you expect, of course, from Top Rank. Top Rank puts good, solid cards together, right? Not necessarily fight cards of the century or anything of that nature, but it's also not, this isn't even Top Rank. Oh my God, look at me stepping on my toes. But this kind of looks like a Top Rank card. When you look at it, it's very similar to what Top Rank has been doing as far as bringing up really good prospect fighters on the undercard, showcasing them, and then obviously having two solid fighters with solid matchups headlining the card. This is exactly what Top Rank has been doing for years now. And it's good to see Eddie Hearn and DAZN doing something similar. We look at this, of course, on the undercard, you got Shakur Stevenson's cousin, his trainer, his grandfather, obviously one of his, grandkids, or I'm not sure what the relationship is between them, but obviously he's on this card, and there's a lot of real hype for him, as you would expect that there would be. He was a very good amateur fighter, had success, I think, against, the PBC fighter, the light-skinned brother, beating him in the amateurs. Obviously, you also have Francisco Rodriguez, Omari Jones, who's another really good up-and-coming young American fighter. This other guy, Talmil Smalls. I'm not familiar with him, but if anybody is, let me know in the comment section more about him. I will go over onto BoxRec, and then we can take a closer look to break this down. And then, of course, mandatory opponent for Stanionis's belt. And this was a fight we thought we were going to get. And people saw that this was DAZN sort of playing hardball. Well, that's fine. If you don't want to take the $1.2, $1.4 million we're offering you to unify with Boots, then you can take $400,000 to fight your mandatory in Shakram Giziev, right? And if you lose to him, then we're just going to work inside our platform to make the potential unification fight without you. And you end up losing money in the process. So obviously, Stanionis did what he had to do. He took the fight, and now they're giving, obviously, Shakram an opportunity to fight on the undercard. He's obviously going to be probably the next opponent available for the winner moving forward. Arturo Papoko versus Christian Carto. That was a tough prediction fight. That's in my prediction league. Raymond Ford back in the ring against Thomas Matias. Obviously, it's a good opponent, but not an exciting opponent. Not the kind of opponent, anybody's really talking about. You haven't seen hardly anybody on social media in the YTBC really talking about Ford's fight with him. Since Raymond Ford's moved to 130 pounds, this is the second good opponent he's been in with. But the question is, when's he going to try to get a world title fight, right? Coming up from 126 pounds, people thought he was going to fast track right into a world title fight, potentially against Oshaki Foster or obviously Lamont Roach. But obviously neither of those fights have happened to this point. So we'll see what happens moving forward with Raymond Ford. And then, of course, Jaron King Ennis, the Boots, against Stanionis, a quality fight. So what are you guys right now predicting as far as this Boots Ennis Stanionis fight? With me, I feel comfortable saying Boots Ennis should win this fight. In my prediction league, what did I do? I said it was going to be a 12-round decision. Let me just pull that up and I can show you in the comment section. Ford by 8th round, Carto by 9th round, Ennis by majority decision. And putting it as a majority decision is not me hating on Boots Ennis. It's just you get more points in this league if you get a split decision or majority decision than just saying unanimous decision. So, and if he wins by unanimous decision, it doesn't cost you anything. So you might as well just go for the gusto. Since I don't think he's going to, stop Stanionis, it's better to make that kind of prediction. JA says split decision. So he's kind of in a similar situation to me. Drunk Irishman says, did you watch the Taylor Serrano conference? I didn't see it, but I'm getting more respect for Jake Paul and MVP all the time, right? What they're doing for women's boxing is fantastic. I'm not the biggest proponent of female boxing, but I do respect both Taylor and Serrano. The two fights they've put on have been fucking legacy fights, historic. Two of the better women's big fights, unification, huge name fights, probably ever in the history of women's boxing, right? Two fights that are going to, consistently be part of women's boxing history for the future. And I thought it was great that they had what's-her-face, who's the sexy black girl. She was also there as well. So, you could just see that now she's signed with them, I think, and they're obviously giving her an opportunity to showcase her as well in front of the big crowd. So that was great. I respect that, and I think what Jake Paul is doing as well. I do think he's going to be a major promoter in boxing when he ends up Alicia Baumgartner, right? Yeah. I definitely think he's going to be a major promoter in boxing moving forward with MVP. So, you got to respect the grind that kid has put on. Think about this. He was the ugly brother to the other fucking twat, whatever his name was, who ended up facing Floyd Mayweather. Good hair, obviously the guy that was the ladies' man, got a lot of attention. You grew up in his shadow. He starts doing, social media stuff, becomes huge. You sort of ride the tail of him and get attention because you're in his videos and whatnot. And then obviously you are getting sort of spin-off attention from that. You fight on the undercard. Nobody even watched that fight. Don't even remember who he fought. But then you fall in love with the sport and you really start dedicating yourself to the sport. And now, so many years later, you're doing huge events on fucking Netflix with Mike Tyson, pulling in millions and millions and millions of dollars. Shit's ridiculous. Should the trilogy fight be a 3-minute round fight? Well, I don't think so. Because women's boxing is 2-minute rounds. It is what it is. We might not like it, but it's been scheduled that way. Obviously, somebody is going to do a big fight with this kind of strategy with 12-round, 3-minute rounds. I definitely think it benefits Serrano if they did 3-minute rounds. So I can understand why her team and her camp would be pushing for that. But the explanation I heard had nothing to do with Katie Taylor and her not being interested or not wanting to do it. It was something completely different, something to do with the sanctioning bodies and something. So, I think it's a moot topic. Obviously, people that are just trying to push narratives are going to jump on it and say that Katie Taylor's scared to do 3 minutes with Serrano. But I don't think Katie Taylor's scared of fucking anyone. She's already lost before, and she came back and won, right? She's taken on literally the best competition in women's boxing history. There's never been another women's boxer with a resume fucking anywhere close to Katie Taylor's resume. I mean, people that want to push fucking Clarissa Shields, it's like, give me a break. I mean, maybe Clarissa Shields is a better fighter than Katie Taylor. I'll give you that. But you cannot compare her resume to Katie Taylor's resume. There is absolutely zero fucking comparison. One's resume is elite. If you compare it to men's resumes right now, it's elite towards men's resumes. Clarissa Shields' resume is garbage truck juice towards men's resumes. And it's pretty mediocre even for women's elite top 10 pound for pound type of fighters. Katie Taylor's is fucking historic, right? But let's go over to BoxRec so we can take a little quick look at these opponents that these people are going to be fighting, just so we can take a little closer look. Let me just pull it up first before I scroll over for you guys. What's going on? Remove this, add that. There we go. We're cooking with gas. So look at that. Look at BoxRec. Obviously nobody respects BoxRec's rankings, but we use it because it's convenient. I just did like a questionnaire with Ring Magazine. You guys should all go to Ring Magazine, subscribe, and do the questionnaire because they're really looking for feedback from fans. What do you want from Ring Magazine? And obviously, I hope Ring Magazine's successful. I mean, anything I hate more is like magazines and historically, crucial parts of a sport I love to fall away and disappear. But to have Ryan Garcia, number 2, on fucking the 147-pound ratings is downright fucking ridiculous. Ridiculous. This is why nobody respects BoxRec. Because coming off of a no contest, how do you end up being rated above Brian Norman, who just had a successful title defense? Jin Sasaki probably shouldn't be that high. Lewis Crocker, Mbeki, Stanionis, number 7. Polanco, I hope, ends up getting some bigger fights moving forward. When you look at this division, there's some good up-and-coming fighters, but there's no real fighters unless you're talking about Tio, Ryan, and obviously Devin Haney. But down here, all the way at number 17, Gisyov, Yelenusyov, Karen, Raul Corral looks like a good fighter, even though he had a piss-poor performance in his last fight. Eubanks, Roach is always entertaining. Barrios, not a bad fighter. Papot, not familiar with. Santillan was great until he fought fucking Norman and got exposed. Polanco, Dominican fighter. Dominican fighters are good, but they're like those athletic dudes that you play basketball with. They can jump high, they can run fast, but they don't really have the skill set to really stand out, right? When you give them the ball, they bounce it off their toes. They fucking shoot bricks off the fucking backboard. They got no touch. They don't understand the game, so they can't really fucking go backdoor. They can't fucking give you the passes you need. But outside of that, they're fucking great. But this division is definitely hurting. Where are we? Where's Barrios? Barrios ranked 11. I know. Two champions, and both champions, Norman, 3, not so bad. Stanionis, 7. And then fucking Barrios, 11. But you're going to have guys like Rowan Polanco ranked above him. Who has Polanco fought, right? Truthfully. Like, nobody. There's nobody on his list that anyone cares about, and he's only just started to fight 10 rounders. Even when you think about fucking Mbengi from South Africa was a very good fighter, obviously fell off a couple times, but overall not bad. 2 fights against African nobodies, obviously lost Solomon Sissoko, which the question is, why isn't Solomon Sissoko ranked higher on this rankings? Where is he, right? And then obviously a few years ago, he lost to Sebastian Formella, and we know him, good European fighter, but not elite at all. Quite a few Russians down there on the list as well, but let's just check out this Boots Ennis card since we're here. So Boots Ennis against Stanionis, we know about that. Let's check out Raymond Ford. Ford, 16-1-1, 8 KOs, 26 years old, right? A top amateur, obviously Olympian, a guy that people have a real high expectation for. 5'7" with almost a 70-inch reach, which is pretty fucking good for that weight class. Obviously came off of a victory versus Orlando Gonzalez, 23-2, right? Your first fight at the division, people will give it to you. Didn't look great, but got the win. Obviously, back when he beat Jesse Magdaleno and then beat Kolmatov, 2 of his best career wins, ended up losing to Nick Ball. They say that's because of weight issues. And maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. But the reality was, if you're going to stay back at that division and try to hunt the big money, maybe you should be a little more prepared, right? You got extra money, so get better people in your corner. He's fighting Thomas Matthias, 22-4-1. Never been stopped, 17 KOs, right? This kid, not bad. He should be a tough test coming off of a loss to Edward Hernandez, and outside of that, everybody else he's faced is, that lower tier opponent, right? Guys that are good mid-tier fighters, but lost to Isaac Cruz back in 2020, majority decision, close fight. Lost to Luis Melendez, unanimous decision. I think he'll probably give Ford a good fight. 5'9", 73-inch reach. He's huge for that division. Like, huge, right? Like, he's got a 4-inch reach advantage over Raymond Ford. Salute, Sean. What's your opinion on people calling Bivol a duck? Idiots. All they're doing is pushing fucking pro PBC bullshit Benavidez narratives. You can't duck a fucking historically great fucking light heavyweight to fight a dude who just moved into the division. Like, let's get that straight. I think it's dumb to call him a duck when he's in the middle of a trilogy with Better BF. And the reality is they knew he was going to take that fight. So with them acting so surprised, oh my God, he didn't even come and do the blah, blah, blah. And the WBC going, oh my God, I can't believe he did this. It's like, you knew he was going to do it. That's why you fucking did it. Because literally you knew he was committed to the trilogy. So you said, oh, I know what we can do to fuck Turkey up. We can force a mandatory. And obviously they're not going to do it because they have other plans, which means we're going to get to strip their ass, take away the undisputed fight, and then push David Benavidez into the line. But okay, you do that, And what happens to David Benavidez? He may never work with Turki Al-Sheikh again. Is that a good move? I don't think so. Drunk, it should be the Ring Magazine belt, but I think Turki will only let people he likes get that belt. Well, hopefully it's not like that. Hopefully he lets Ring Magazine run Ring Magazine and doesn't put too much of his fingers in it, because otherwise it's just going to get a lot of criticism consistently. Cuck, an hour away from LA. I don't know what your expression means. Big eyes, questioning. Questioning what? Questioning the fact that Benavidez is an email champ. Matias got cheated out of a stoppage win against Rocky Hernandez. Yeah, I saw that questionable decision there, TD. And that's why I think, this could be a real banana skin for Raymond Ford. But yet you beat Matias. You don't win a world title. You're not getting an opportunity for a world title. Does this even put you into a world title contention? Let's see. I'm not even sure if it does or doesn't. Whereas Matias ranked right now at 130 pounds. So here we are. IBF title is vacant. Obviously, Raymond Ford is there. Maybe he's trying to get that vacant title. But he's fighting a guy who's not even ranked in the IBF, right? Sultan Zorbek, who just won last weekend, is above him. Suarez, Rikishi, and then Eduardo Nunez. For the Lamont Roach title, Hayato Tatsumi is up there. The guy he's facing, not up there. For Oshaki Foster fight, Raymond Ford is fourth. The guy he's fighting is not even in their rankings. And then, of course, for the WBO title, Raymond Ford is eighth, and the guy he's facing is not even in the rankings. So you're fighting a guy, literally, who is not ranked in any of the rankings. So you beat him. Does this really elevate you? Does it put you in a position for a world title fight? Like, obviously, with the IBF, it's vacant. So you would think potentially you could get a fight there, but you should be fighting somebody that's ranked above you, or at least ranked in the top 15. We know how the IBF operates. You don't have to literally beat a good guy. You just need to beat somebody. He should have fought like fucking Henry LeBron or Jazza Dickens or somebody, or Michael Magnesi, right? And then one of the other guys. It's like, really? I don't know if this is a smart decision, because it's a bit of a banana peel and it doesn't really elevate you based on the rankings. But you guys let me know in the comment section below. Do you think this is a smart maneuver by Raymond Ford? Then, of course, we have this undercard. I know this guy's name, but I can't remember if I've ever seen him face anybody before. Arturo Popoco. His face looks familiar. Mexican kid, 15-0, one draw, 8 KOs. I think I might have seen his draw. Who did he draw? Oh, no, I definitely didn't see his draw all the way back in 2022. Maybe I did, but I don't remember. Recently, he's fought nobody who really pops into my mind, so I'm not sure if I've seen him or not. 15-0, 21-1. Those are the last two opponents he faced. Not bad resumes. Now this kid, 23-1. Christian Carto, American fighter from Philadelphia, 23-1, 16 KOs, 1 loss. His loss came against Victor Ruiz in 2019. Second round KO. Since then, what has he done? Fought a lot of bum-ass opponents with double-digit losses. I guess that's why Propoco is being scheduled as the favorite in this fight. It's unfortunate that I picked Carto to win the fight. Cross my fingers. Let's hope things go against the betting odds and work for my favor. I'm not sure if they will, but everyone blows one once in a while. And then, of course, Shakram Gisyav. Good fighter. Hasn't been that active. Obviously, a good amateur. Uzbekistan fighter, 13-0, 9 KOs. The guy he's facing is 17-2. Prior to that, beat Pablo Cano, not a bad win. Christian Rafael Corio, not bad. He's been in with solid competition almost his whole career. Darley Perez back in 2019, Emmanuel Taylor. Uh, you know, from day one, he was facing good competition 10-2, 24-10, 9-6, 31-6, 14-0, right? So he hasn't been in with any cherry pick shit opponents in his career yet. Now he's facing this kid, Argentinian, 17-2, 8 KOs. I think I've seen this kid fight before. Spent most of his career fighting in Argentina. We know what that means. It means your resume is kind of shit. Obviously, his one loss came to Damian Chavez, 11-1. Yeah. I don't know if I would have too high expectations for him. I would definitely think that Gizioff should win. The young guys, who's this guy? Tamil Smalls. Oh, yeah, I think I've seen him before. Philadelphia fighter, 13-9. Oh, yeah, good win. Luis Alberto Veron, last win. Solid, 7th round KO. Nice. Omari Jones, up-and-coming young superstar prospect from the amateurs. 1-0, 1 KO, 22 years old. Good win his first fight against a guy 14-5. Now he's fighting a guy 13-5-2. Francisco Rodriguez, 6-0 with 6 KOs. 21-year-old from New Jersey. And then, of course, Shakur's cousin, 2-0, 1 KO, 19 years old. The opposition he's facing, weak, low. But, he's a kid, obviously just turned pro not that long ago. But overall, I don't mind this. I like to see these kind of cards, right, with a lot of good young fighters on them. I'm always eager to say the next great young fighter step up. Boots looks really drained. He's such a weight bully. I hope Stanios puts it on him and gives him a hard fight. War Stanios hopefully will get the upset. A lot of people are saying that. A lot of people are talking about this whole weight situation with regards to Boots. We'll see if it plays out and how important it is moving forward. But we will see. Another good fight card, and I'm excited about this. Let's see what you guys think about it. But it's good news, I think. This is a card coming out of fucking Cuba. Cuba. Hotel Melia International, Baradora, Cuba. Promoted by a German promoter, Bond Duscher, with a German promoter. Obviously, it's great to see them working together. It's going to be on DAZN. So that's fucking even better. If I can watch this on DAZN, man, this is excellent news. And look at this card. This is literally a who's who card of great Cuban amateurs, right? Most of them who've been at least 2-time gold medal winners. Julio Cesar de la Cruz, Arlen Lopez, Lazaro Alvarez, Erislandy Alvarez, Musso Golom, right? Quality fucking card. 3-0, 3-0, 6-0, 3-0, 22-1. Man, I think this is excellent. As far as the boxing fans, I mean, why wouldn't you be excited by this? It's great to see these Cubans on the big stage, on a card from Cuba, right? Obviously, Cuba has stopped a lot of these great fighters from becoming pros and moving to Europe and the States. So this is what they should do. If you don't want your great fighters to run away, then you should do what Cuba used to do. Cuba used to be the Las Vegas of America, right? All the big bands, all the gambling, all the fights, all the ladies, all the drugs, everything was in Cuba until obviously Castro took over and communized the country and kicked America out. Obviously, then you couldn't buy cigars and everything else. But Cuba got things that they can cash out on, just like a lot of these Central American countries with baseball players. You send these players to make big money and then bring that money back to your country to continue to spread it and spend and spread the wealth to benefit the people of the country. So let's hope going forward, Cuba does more of this. I'm excited. This card looks great. and I think it's great news. Uh, Julio Cesar La Cruz is a great fighter. 3-0, three knockouts already in his career, 6 foot. But the problem is with these Cubans, they've been amateurs for so long, 35 years old. Like this guy needs to literally get the shit on now, right? It's kind of like, I don't know how old you guys are, but remember when Muhammad Ali was the world champion and they were talking about him facing uh, not Telefio Stevenson, right, who was a 3-time Olympic gold medal heavyweight, right? And they were literally going to do a matchup between this amateur fighter who's a 3-time gold medal winner versus the American world champion, right? And they should have done it. It would have been fucking incredible, right? And obviously you couldn't do that today because shitheads on YouTube on the YTBC would fucking lose their crap over it, talking about how an amateur gets a world title fight. They freaked out when Lomachenko got a world title fight in the second fight. The only good thing is obviously Teofimo Stevenson was black, so that would probably give him a pass, but we will see. With Dela Cruz, I hope he can get right in there and get big fights right away. So far, his competition, not bad, right? What you would expect. Quality opponents with lots of professional experience. He's faced, obviously, guys throughout the world so far. Obviously, fought once in Argentina, once in Mexico, once in Bermuda? Bahamas? Nassau, Bermuda. Which one is it? And now, obviously, coming back to Cuba to represent. His opponent, Croatian kid, 18-5, knocked out 5 times. Oh, Montegro. So you could expect this is going to be an easy fight, short night. This guy was knocked out in 2 rounds by Papitin. Chamberlain, who's not a big puncher, knocked him out in 1 round. Lawrence Okoli knocked him out in 3. So what do you think? What's the under? Who says under 3? Do you think Dela Cruz will get this kid out in under 3? What's your feeling? What's the definition of a weight bully? Well, I think people like to say weight bully is a guy who is much bigger than his opposition. Kramer, everyone he fights is a way smaller than him. Well, to be fair, in boxing today, that's normal. Ryan Garcia, Devin Haney, right? Like, I mean, David Benavidez, like everybody uses their size, their natural size, to drain themselves down to get a bit of an advantage over their opposition. So that's nothing new, nothing we haven't seen before. So I'm not going to hate on anyone for doing it. It just is part of what boxing is today. You know, and they did it originally because they wanted to make sure boxers were healthy and not putting them into a position to get hurt. But at the same time, by doing this, you're kind of still putting boxers in a position where they could get hurt. You are just a PBC hater. Who? Me? Did I even mention the PBC? I don't even know if I just mentioned the PBC. What did I say right now about PBC? Or are you saying he's a PBC hater? Because Boots Ennis is not part of the PBC. So that fucking is a stupid comment in itself. He's part of Matchroom DAZN, so nothing to do with the PBC. But obviously you're a PBC dick rider, hence your name. But okay. With fucking Rigo as your face. Rigo, the only fucking promotional company that ever gave Rigo a fight was Top Rank. PBC literally fucked that guy's career. Fucked his career. What did I say about the PBC earlier? Literally, I have no recollection at saying anything about the PBC, even mentioning their names. But fill me in, because obviously you're pretty sensitive. Wayne Evans, what's up? I'm a PBC hater. I am the Donald Trump of the YTBC. So obviously I have to be a fucking PBC hater because I'm a racist, right? I'm everything bad in the world. I'm bad for the YTBC. I'm bad for America, but I'm here to make boxing great again. But Thank you for your input, Cock Rebel. Hard Recoil says weight bully is someone that always fights smaller fighters, not necessarily in height. Yeah, but I think a lot of times people use the height as a predominant situation, even though you can be tall, but not necessarily be bigger. A lot of tall guys are narrow shouldered, not wide, right? Thin legged. They're tall and have long reach, which is an advantage. When you watch amateur boxing now, especially the lower divisions, every single elite fighter in the lower divisions from Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, from Cuba, they all are fucking real tall, thin dudes facing smaller guys, shorter guys in their weight divisions, right? So they can control range behind their jab, walk them into short right hands. And pretty much that's the majority of these guys, also Indians as well. If there's no solid definition, it's just an assumption. Well, Kramer, I think you does protest too much. I'm sure you've called people weight bullies when it went against your better feelings and better judgments. Calling someone a weight bully is nothing new and it's nothing to get too fucking worked up about. It just is what it is. Whenever a guy is far bigger visibly than another opponent, they're going to accuse them of being weight bullies. It's part of boxing. It only is a negative thing if you overreact to it and think too much. Because obviously Stanionis is not really much smaller than Boots Ennis when you look at things factually. Here, we'll do a test right now. Let's jump across from the Cuban thing card because people are becoming too emotional over nothing really, but let's test it out. Boots, where are you, Boots? Come on back, Boots. So Boots Ennis, 27 years old. He is 5'10 with a 74-inch reach. 5'10, 74-inch reach. Stanionis, he is 30 years old. Much older, 5'8 with a 68-inch reach. So only 2 inches shorter in height. Obviously, much bigger reach advantage. But reach has nothing to do with being a weight bully. Some dudes just have long fucking arms. Some guys have short arms. You play basketball, you know that shit all the time. One of my friends I played with was just 6 foot tall, 2 inches taller than me, but his reach was 9 inches fucking longer than mine. His hands were this much bigger than mine. He could palm a ball off the bounce. He could dunk only getting this high over the rim. Skinny fucking dude, couldn't jump, but it was hard to play with him because his arms were so fucking long. Weirdly long. I always wondered. Carmel Moten is the next weight bully. Well, that's definitely not possible. That dude is a fucking 5-foot fighter. He's never going to be considered a weight bully. Oh, of course, leave it to Richard Sampson to come in and talk out his ass, right? The difference is Riddick Bowe did not go on to fight somebody better than who he ducked. He did not go on to face somebody better than Lennox Lewis in his next fight. Bivol literally has just fought somebody far better than Benavidez, historically far more accomplished than Benavidez, and he's going to rematch him next. And that fight was already agreed to before this whole WBC ploy. But we know you're full of shit, Richard, and you're all about trolling. And that's the only reason you come here. So don't be surprised one day when you get your ass blocked. Because if the only thing you bring to my channel is trolling, then why do I fucking need you? If you want to come here and have real boxing opinions, that's fine. But if you're just going to troll, eventually you're going to get a fucking boot in the ass. And everyone in the comment section is just going to say, hey, glad to see that fucking guy gone. Stringer from above says, how good of a baller were you, Sean? Oh, I was okay. You know, I'm 5'10", and I wanted to be fucking 6'4". So I probably should have focused more on what I need to focus on. But I always imagined I was going to grow taller. My dad is 6'1", my uncle 6'2". I figured I was going to at least be 6'1", 6'2", which still would have made me a tall guard. Look at you, so sensitive. You can block me. And then I'm just going to tell everybody Sean Newton blocks people with a different opinion. No, just don't be a fucking troll. You come here and the first comment you say is this shit. It's just juvenile. But what do we expect from you? Pigeon or El Pinichi, maybe. Richard Sampson, maybe. I always hear about Pigeon, but I'm kind of out of the loop. But as you can see, there's not really much of a weight bully situation with Boots Ennis over Stanionis, right? Not really. Roman Villa, I think, was almost as tall as fucking him. Yeah, Roman Villa, 5'10", 72-inch reach. So same height, 2 inches shorter in reach. And Boots Ennis killed that fucking guy because it has nothing to do with reach and height. Thomas Delorme, almost the same height as well, 5'10", 73-inch reach, right? Thomas Delorme once fought at 135 pounds, right? You know, at least Boots Ennis is fighting at 147 pounds at the same size as that guy. So, you know, hard to label him a weight bully. But let's look at this Cuban card again. You guys are distracting me with your fuckery, with your bullshit, with your petty crap. Literally me in the pick. My pops is 5'7", and I got to 6'2". Exactly. That's fucking the nature of fucking fathers and sons. I fucking grew up with my father, and I was always shorter, feeling like I was a fucking punk. And then my uncle and his kids, his daughter and son, fucking tower over me. And now her kids, oh my God, her son goes to Brock like I did. I played volleyball my first year, but then, of course, partying, drugs, and bitches sort of sidetracked me. He's on the volleyball team. He's like 6'7", fucking freshman, tall motherfucker. You know, life is not fair. I should have went into golf, but I didn't love golf. That was mostly my dad and uncle that loved golf. I wanted to dunk on a motherfucker. That's what I wanted to do. But let's look at Arlen Lopez. Arlen Lopez, man, one of the best Cuban fighters in history. 32, 5'10", Guantanamo Bay. Who's he been in with? Not great opposition. Mediocre compared to Cruz, right? All his fights so far in Mexico. Finally, a homecoming. Alvarez, 6-0, 3 KOs, 34, right? He's been in with, you know, really mediocre competition. The best fight he had, let me show you. The best fight he's had was this. What is this? IBA Pro. Oh, Albert Batagayev beat him over a 10-round decision. Oh, Albert. Yes, Albert, who's currently 2-1 for the IBA, and obviously 12-0 with 8 KOs in the pros, in position to become the WBA world champion soon. Come on, Albert. Strengthen that chin, motherfucker. That dude is Amir Khan all over again. Then, of course, we got Canelo Alvarez's brother from Cuba, 3-0, 1 KO, 24. Finally, a young guy. His competition, he's a young guy. Not so bad. And then the guy most experienced on the undercard, 22-1, 13 KOs from Morocco. It's funny, this kid is somehow on this card. He must be promoted by the Germans because everyone's Cuban, and then you got a Moroccan fucking guy on the schedule. Right? How weird is that? His only loss coming to Salmadov, a Ukrainian, I think a Kazakhstanian fighter, by split decision. Beat Abraham Montoya, not bad. He's been in with some good competition, but, you know, no one to get too worked up about. Where are we? Richard, it's a shame that someone your age is so ignorant. They got that weight bully excuse on deck in case Bud loses. Oh, of course. John Boxing been pushing that thing hard. What's up with it? What's up? What's up, Juan? How's it going? What's your prediction for the Boots Ennis Stanionis fight? Do you think Stanionis is going to pull the upset, or is Boots Ennis going to surprise everybody with a fantastic performance? Let us know in the comment section below. So let's get moving. I'm happy with these two cards. Obviously, 2 cards from DAZN. Hopefully the The times are nice that you can like watch it back to back and just do like a, you know, what do you call that? Back in the day when they used to try to raise money, not a marathon, but they have TV things, and it'd just be like stuff on TV to raise money. You could phone in all the time. What the hell? I can't even remember. I love when the narrative pushers get their excuses ready before the fight. Exactly. Who are you picking? Boots fight. Me, Kramer, I just said I'm picking Boots to win by decision. But my question is the weight really that hard for him to make right now? Obviously, he doesn't have the next day weigh in, which he had as an IBF champion for this unification fight. That's off the table. So people were pretty confident that Boots was going to come in at his best for this fight. But a lot of people are saying he looks really bad on the scale. And if that's the case, obviously that's something to keep in mind, right? And potentially could change things drastically moving forward. Superior Green says, Sean, are you wearing a wig? I'm not wearing a wig. I'm trying to make boxing great again. I'm trying to make boxing great again. I don't know how Trump does it. Should I have like hair down? Like, I don't know if that looks better. Yes, there you go, Wayne Evans. A telethon. Thank you very much. A lot of people are probably too young to remember telethons. But yes, DAZN is going to be putting on a telethon to make boxing great again this weekend. Here's the card. Looks pretty good. Nice poster. Cuban Boxing Night with one Moroccan. Even a woman boxer. I didn't notice that on the card. I think that must have been thrown off, but okay. And the news. So Keyshawn Davis, Edwin De Los Santos fight was off because as De Los Santos team was saying, he was being underpaid for a potential world title fight against up-and-coming fighter Keyshawn Davis. You're not talking about Tank Davis, obviously a pay-per-view guy and a guy with a lot of name recognition and big sellout fights behind him. You're talking about a guy who is just recently a prospect, just moved into being a contender, just won his first world title, and you'd literally be his first title defense. And somehow, they were claiming poor mouth, saying that he only offered them $200,000, which of course shows you his manager who fucking lied to him, right? Because he wasn't offered $200,000, he was offered $400,000. But what he'll walk away with after the words is $220,000. Man, if you want me to fight Keyshawn Davis as a replacement opponent and pay me $220,000 after taxes and after everything else, sign me up. I'll fly to fucking New Jersey on my own dime. You don't even have to pay for my plane ticket. For $220,000, I'm there. And with that $220,000, the first thing I'm going to do is buy a fucking place in Bali and fucking chillax afterwards. And you guys will see me in Bali by the pool, making boxing great again. Thanks to my 220 that I pulled off by getting knocked out by a smaller guy who I was weight bullying in Keyshawn Davis. Trying to make boxing great again. I'll even shave off my gray beard so I look younger. Stan had a chance. He's an absolute dog, but I got Boots late stoppage. Nice. That's the thing. I'm not sure if Boots can get the stoppage, so I figured I would just go with the conservative pick. But, I think Boots has the skill. The question is he going to be at his best, or is weight really an issue moving forward? If it is, anything can happen. But the good news is this whole fight with De Los Santos is now back on, which is great. I saw some people literally questioning and shitting on Keyshawn Davis for fighting this guy. But this is boxing fans. It doesn't matter what you do. People are consistently going to hate on you and talk out their ass. It's ridiculous. Like, if you're a boxing fan and a Black American boxing fan, why are you trying to find ways to hate on Boots Ennis or to hate on fucking Keyshawn Davis? Keyshawn Davis was an Olympic silver medalist. What did I say? Keyshawn Davis. Sorry. I thought maybe I said his name wrong. But he's the exciting fighter. puncher, obviously he's a boxer puncher, which is the best style in the sport. 13-0, 9 KOs, right? 70% KO ratio, 26 years old, 5'9", 70-inch reach. Not the longest arms, right? Not the longest arms. He's kind of like Shakur in that respect. Neither of them have really long reaches, and potentially moving forward, that could be an issue. But you think about this, when this guy fought Albright, right? Albright was a solid opponent coming off of Yigit, Burgos, Patera, all quality opponents, right? 35-6-3, 26-2-1, 28-3. Then you fight Albright, 16-2. He beat him clearly. It was a tough fight. Albright's a smart fighter, long, made it a hard fight for him. And then the whole marijuana situation ended up having this NC fucking shit happen. You end up fighting Petraza, a 2-weight world champion. Then Miguel Medueno, which was a fucking war. You fight Lemos, who missed weight to come in basically at 140 pounds, right? 141 and a half was the fight weight, right, for him, whereas Keyshawn was 135 and a quarter. So literally Lemos didn't come down to weight to face you. Basically, you just fought him at his natural weight of 140 pounds. Destroyed that motherfucker. This is a guy that fought Richard Hitchens, and most people feel he beat Hitchens. Then you face Baranchek, a guy that literally was a Olympic bronze medalist on one of the best Ukrainian Olympic teams in history, probably the best Ukrainian Olympic team in history. He's coming off of a career best win, beating Navarrete, who was heavily favored to beat him to become a 4-weight world champion. You face that guy and fucking destroy him, embarrass him, send him back to the Ukraine, fucking, wishing he'd never even came to America. And now you're going to face a tough kid who literally made Shakur Stevens look like a punk. Not that De Los Santos made himself look great, but he did not make fucking Shakur look great either. Shakur really came off looking bad in that fight with his approach, especially after all the big talking. Keyshawn going to be talking, but he's going to go out there fucking throwing bombs. And if he knocks this guy out inside 6 rounds, man, just sign up a fucking Raymond Muratalla fight. Specifically, if Raymond can get Lomachenko's IBF title, because that shit will be fucking fire. Fire. Wayne Evans says, facts, Sean. Keyshawn Davis moving his career the correct way, fighting solid opponents, giving us knockouts, exciting fights, is a good talker on the mic. What happened to Baranchek? Baranchek got destroyed. Yeah, he looked bad. He was just out fucking classed, outmaneuvered. If you ask me, Shakur's skills are overrated. I don't like his defense. He's never in the pocket. Well, he's in the pocket, but he just doesn't let his hands go, right? So it's disappointing because I expected he could do more. I loved his fight against the Japanese fighter because he let his hands go and he looked fucking scintillating in that fight. But literally in his whole career, outside of the Jamal Herring fight and that Japanese kid, maybe the Oscar Valdez fight as well, I can't remember that fight too well, most of his fights have been kind of disappointing as far as his performances. Early on in his career, I was very critical of him because he was fighting like a fucking amateur, and it was really a bad look. He improved, started sitting down in his punches, but man, the kid is so hot and cold, right? It's hard to really get excited about him. Cook says boxing in America can't push a new star to save their lives. Boots Ennis. Well, it's not that boxing can't. The problem is Americans are more focused on pushing drama. They'd rather fucking hate each other as opposed to fucking support the sport and push the fights, right? Like you're hating on fucking Keyshawn Davis because you're a Tank Davis fan. You're hating on Tank Davis because you're a Shakur Lomachenko Keyshawn Davis fan. You're hating on Lomachenko because you're a Shakur Stevens fan. I'm happy that you want fights, but you don't have to be so fucking toxic. The problem is the American fan base is toxic as fuck. That's why I'm here trying to make boxing great again. Edwin got robbed against Shakur. That ain't true. He didn't do anything. You can't win a fight if you don't land punches. Kind of like Madrimov versus Bud Crawford. If Keyshawn doesn't get the Loma fight after the Edwin De Los Santos fight, should he move up to 140? Nothing more. He can do it 135. Tank won't fight him, and he doesn't want to fight Shakur. Well, Drunk Irishman, he still has a potential fight with Raymond Muratalla. That's why I say if Lomachenko retires and that IBF title becomes vacant, Muratalla is in line to be the guy that fights for it. And obviously, he is also a top-ranked fighter. So a Raymond Muratalla, Keyshawn Davis unification fight would be great. That would be excellent for Keyshawn to get that fight before moving up to obviously 140. And when he moves up to 140, obviously at that time, the Tio Lopez fight's off the table because he's going to move up to go get knocked out at 147. But what does it opens up the door for another top-ranked fighter to move up and claim that WBO title. So he can go up and become a 2-weight world champion like that, especially since he's going to be the WBO champion at 135. YouTube media teaches that toxic hate. That's true. That's true. No doubt about it. Fucking the toxicity on the YTBC is terrible. And the reason is a lot of those channels that push the toxicity make money from the drama, from the back and forth, right? Consistently using clickbait titles and clickbait boxing takes on their channels like Fanon Boxing and others. Fanon is the worst. That guy is a clickbait monster. All he does is put clickbait out, and all he does is talk about fucking literally like 4 or 5 fighters and just consistently go over and over and over with some fucking bullshit fucking narrative that's not even factual. Dude is mental. Literally, he's mental. Technique says Loma Keyshawn is a great fight. I wish Loma was a few years younger. I just hope Loma's back is better. If his back is better, then we can get that Tank Davis fight, right? And if he beats Tank Davis, maybe then Loma will fight Keyshawn for 3-belt unification. And maybe potentially we could get another undisputed champion at the 135-pound weight class, especially if you get Tank Davis out of there, right? Whether Loma beats him or Tank retires, either thing is fucking great for the sport of boxing. You know, this wig, I gotta fucking like brush it or do something because I'm looking at it and it makes me look like I'm an old lady or I'm wearing an old lady's fucking hat. I don't know if it looks Trump enough. What do you think? Crawford is being investigated by the FBI, according to Fanon. Exactly. He's been pushing that shit for months now. All to do what? Dick ride fucking Errol Spence. Like, you cannot be more wrong than you were fucking with Rigo destroying Lomachenko, breaking his jaw, with Wilder, with fucking Spence, and now you just want to be equally wrong with fucking Tank Davis. Like, these dudes can never be right. Every single fucking fighter they push and the narratives they push end up fucking exploding in their face. They like it. Those dudes, they like an explosion in their face. But, man, it's terrible. Like, let's be fans of the sport of boxing and not just dick riders of one platform or one fucking fighter. If Tio, Devin, Keyshawn, and Tank were Loma's age and size, they would all be taken to the Matrix. Facts. I think Tio, he would have got beat if Lomachenko was healthier for that fight. It's just unfortunate that Lomachenko chose to take that fight, even though his shoulder was hurt, because, you know, you can't use it as an excuse. You lost, right? You started too late and you didn't get him out, even though it looked like he could get him out. Lopez had a great 12th round and sealed the fight. So congratulations to him. You're toxic too. You are very hateful towards certain fighters. Been watching you for years. You're very hateful towards black fighters. Yeah, Dale, and you're full of shit. What black fighters do I hate on? Because there's a difference between pointing out a double standard and how fans of that black fighter say terrible things to his opponents and me pointing out the hypocrisy with that scenario. See, that's the difference. I'm not hating on any of these fighters. I'm just pulling out the fucking hypocrisy. When people tried to make Bud Crawford pound for pound number one because he beat Julius Ndongu, right? That was only being pushed because he was black. If it would have been any other fighter, Usyk, fucking Taylor, fucking whoever that weren't black, they wouldn't have been pushing that guy to become pound for pound number one. There wouldn't have been a big push for that, because the only reason they were trying to jam Crawford into that position is because they had Bud Crawford to follow Ward, to follow Floyd, so they can have a black fighter pound for pound consistently, so that they feel good and nice inside their heart that somebody that looks like them faces and represents the sport of boxing in the number one position. They were all based on fucking race, not based on actual accomplishment, right? Which, you know, when I point that out, it's not me hating on Bud Crawford. It's me being fucking honest and fucking doing what Trump does. Fucking giving you the facts. If you can't deal with the facts, don't vote for me. That's all I can tell you. Don't vote for me. Vote for somebody else. Fannin was shouting in his video back then, Loma can't touch Rigo. Him and Ego, right? Fucking gonna break his jaw. Rigo is a whole nother level. And then once he lost, it's weight bullying. Oh, yeah, okay. But Loma was gonna fight him at 126 at a catch weight of 124 with a rehydration. The same time Andre Ward was trying to call out Golovkin. But people ignore that. They ignore the fact that Rigo literally ducked Lomachenko at 126. All Fannin's videos are just clickbait. I still remember he said Tank signed a deal worth $500 million. Yeah. How did that work out? Where's that money now? Dale Bailey made a new account after getting blocked. Narratives without substance. Drunk Irishman, I remember that. Lopez also fought in his backyard with a hometown judge. Yes. There's always hometown judges. Always going to be 3 American judges and no fucking Europeans. Only in America. That's what I say. I'm not a crook. Just a question. Why are you so critical of Benavidez? I'm critical of the PBC and the way they move their fighters. And not just PBC, whoever his fucking manager is. I can't pretend to say his name. But this dude would prefer to get a fucking email title than work with Turki Al-Sheikh to actually make boxing great and earn an undisputed world title fight where he would get career high pay, get fucking legacy fight against Bivol or Beterbiev for all the fucking titles, right? Putting him in a class with only a few fighters in boxing history, elevating him into the pound for pound list, and potentially giving him that Canelo Alvarez fight he so deserves. And if not that, he could then move up to cruiserweight, a 2-weight world champion, move to cruiserweight, trying to become a 3-weight world champion, right? And an undisputed light heavyweight, to then try to become undisputed cruiserweight. His legacy would be solidified. But he chose to fucking avoid doing that, to get an email title and act like, oh, I'm so surprised. I can't imagine that Bivol isn't going to try to fight me because the WBC asked him to. But you knew, because you were just in fucking Saudi Arabia, that he was never going to fight you next. He was always going to fight Beterbiev. And you literally fucking did this, kicked dirt in Turkey's face, and then you expect big money and opportunities down the road. You're costing yourself money. You're costing yourself legacy. Congratulations. Good move. Do you think Canelo ducked him? I think Canelo ducked him more than you could say Bivol ducked him. Canelo had several opportunities where he could have fought him, but he chose to fight other fighters, right? Fighters who made money, the fights were successful. Munguia, Berlanga, they had name recognitions, fan bases, those fights were successful. But obviously it wasn't the fights boxing fans wanted. But at his point of his career, he just said, fuck you, David. I don't want to work with you. You're a dick. That's his prerogative. But he is much more of a guy you could say ducked Benavidez, more so than Bivol at this point. Boots a hype job. Oh my God, Mexican boxing. Get a break. Like, please don't be fucking the Mexican LDBC. It's a bad look. Bad look. I'm gonna have to fucking deport you if you fucking keep pushing this kind of bullshit. I'm gonna get the ICE people all over you if you're fucking being a racist. Push that shit back. You can support your own, but you don't have to hate others. That's all I'm saying. Don't care who you hate. You are not what you want those black guys to be. What do I want them to be? Not dicks, not fucking haters and racists. Okay. Mexican fans are toxic. Us white fans are toxic. Well, you are, that's for sure. But you only speak on black people. That seems like you have an agenda. Yes, I do. Because this all started from fucking Floyd Mayweather fans. So it started from Floyd Mayweather fans. That wasn't black fans. That was Floyd Mayweather fans. And then some of these people started to attack me and then created the LDBC, who all fucking became black. They kicked all the non-black people out of the LDBC and continued pushing their racist narratives. So my target was always an agenda aimed at them. So yeah, my channel has always been there and it always has been. So it's not hating on boxers, it's hating on fuckhead fans who fucking make boxing terrible and toxic in America and then go out of their way to shit on non-fights that don't represent whatever they want to push. Sean doesn't hate the fighter, he exposed the ignorance. Exactly. Sean, I was about to ask you if Trump hair had arrived. I've never seen you spanked in a debate years ago with this black stud. Are you holding a grudge because of that? I forgot. I've seen you get spanked. Who? By fucking boxing librarian and that dumbass motherfucker that he used to like hang out with, who no longer is really in the boxing community. That guy didn't spank fucking shit. That guy just fucking screamed and yelled. You don't fucking win a debate by screaming and yelling. If you can't push facts and you only use emotion, how do you win a debate? Bro, what the fuck? Why would you ever call another man a stud? Well, he fucking loves the brothers, man. Goes to LDBC and calls you Fig Newton. I know he does. I know he does. This is the kind of fucking clown posse fucking that always been around. You know, dudes like this, snitches, fucking guys that think they're gonna get some street cred by fucking snitching out and ratting on other people. No, you earn no respect from fucking the people you go to, acting like you're a good white guy and you support the brothers and you think somehow they respect you because of it. No, they think you're a fuckhead. And they'd just be as quick to fucking spit on you on the street as they would me. Because the majority of those guys don't like white people and are fucking racist. Hence, their whole fucking agenda they push consistently on their channel. But you do you. I'm not telling you to stop. Continue to be what you are, Dale. If it's good enough for you, it's good enough for me. Certain channels get paid to choose a side or just whatever gets them views. I think it's a combination of both. Remember, barbershop constipation. You might not like him. He was fucking obviously a guy who always pushed racial fucking shit, was a huge PBC fucking fuckboy. But when he saw the writing on the wall and saw really how it was, truth dawned on him. And he totally went anti-PBC, blew a lot of bridges with the LDBC, and obviously, exposed those guys for what they were. Dudes taking money to push narratives on their channels consistently. They don't care about truth. They don't care about the sport. They fucking are all money grubbers that just are here to fucking make a dime off the sport. And if the sport fucking goes under, gets ruined, it's going to cost all of us fucking a sport we love. But as long as they got paid in the process, because that's the kind of scumbags the majority of those fucking guys are. How did barbershop following fall down? He was on top and now his views plummeted. That's because he went against the program, right? He got slapped out, didn't he, by Sean Porter or Tim Bradley's father, whose father fucking slapped him out or something. And then that didn't make him look good. that killed his street cred. And then, of course, he went against the LDBC because he started to expose their bullshit. But Barbershop was doing the same thing. Was he getting paid? Well, then that's why he fucking knows, because he was in on it as well. Fig Newton. See, that doesn't offend me. I've been Fig Newton ever since I was fucking in elementary school, right? The only funny thing is now I work with a bunch of Africans. They don't even know what a Fig Newton is, even when I describe it to them and show them pictures. Right? No Fig Newtons in Africa. But anyone from North America, they know fucking Fig Newton. Yes, it's very creative, eh? But that's why my name on things is always the figs. You don't kick back and cry and moan because people throw rocks at you and call you names. You fucking embrace it, right? Hence the wig. Salute. What's up, brother? Welcome in. So what's your prediction? Anyone who hasn't given me their prediction on this whole Boots Ennis Stanionis fight, let me know. What do you think? Who do you have winning this fight and how? As I said earlier on in my video, I have Boots winning by decision because I'm not sure about how well he's making the weight. And obviously that's an issue. I don't support the brothers. Sean is a hypocrite. Practice what you preach. I've never heard Sean defending boxing when black fighters are being criticized by people who are not black. That's a fucking bold-faced lie. And whenever I do it, people like you and John say, or specifically John, he doesn't like those fighters. He's just using them. Okay, whatever. I fucking went to bat for fucking Bud Crawford fucking plenty of times. Went to bat for fucking Anthony Joshua plenty of times. Went to bat for Keyshawn, Shakur Stevenson plenty of times, and many others. But some people just want to hear what they want to hear, what pushes their narrative forward. Dale Bailey's consistently been a troll on my channel, always fucking acting like, the fucking Karen of the YTBC. I might be the Trump of the YTBC, but you got to buy yourself a long fucking brown wig with fucking some curls, brother, because you definitely are the Karen of the fucking YTBC. He uses racist stereotyping too much. Boots by decision. Who uses racist stereotyping too much? You would get on your knees for Lord Jabba 78. That's a disgusting thought. I don't even think his wife would do that. Is that a Trump wig? Yes, it is. I'm trying to make boxing great again. Oh, barbershop constipation. Yeah, but a lot of those channels, all those LDBC channels, right? They love the racial stuff because it unites the community, right? What do they say? Stay on, what is it? Stay on code, right? Stay on code. Yet us white people, we never stay on code. we're more than willing to throw a fucking fellow whitey under the bus to try to fucking act like somehow we're woke and we're fucking, what we're afraid to be fucking labeled. I ain't afraid to be labeled shit. Label me whatever the fuck you want, right? I had arguments with Jewish people in Vancouver who called me anti-Semitic because I didn't agree with the way Palestine and Israel was being fucking worked through. Years later, literally fucking 20-something years later, this shit's still going on, and they still have the same fucking kickback from plenty of people critical of the way they're dealing with Palestine. So I wasn't wrong. And I wasn't an anti-Semite. I have no problem with Jewish people or Israel. But I would think people who went through fucking the Holocaust might fucking have a better way of dealing with a similar situation. Not quite the same, but a similar situation. Reggie Owens also helped in the downfall of Fred. Us white people have always been on code. We control the world. Well, actually, we don't control shit. There's a select group of people, a lot of Jewish people and other rich fucking people that control the world. The rest of us are as fucking expendable as a brother, as a fucking Latino, as a fucking Asian. They don't give a fuck about any of us. We are just here to use for their benefit, whether it's through labor, taxes, or whatever else fucking it might be. So anyone that thinks that we're fighting against each other, they're the fucking dumbos. Because the truth is, all of us motherfuckers should group together to fucking make sure we have a better life. All of us. Latinos, Asians, white, black, Aboriginals, we're all being fucking taken advantage of by fucking the rich 1% who don't give a fuck about any of us. You know how you know? We just went through fucking COVID. Who benefited from that? Not us. They did, though. They got richer. Fucking richer. Where are we? Remember the guy literally called the Nevada State Commission when Wilder got KO'd by Fury? Yeah. Oh no. People are fucking ridiculous. Yet, they weren't so fucking uptight with Nevada when they protected the fact that they caught Floyd Mayweather doing something illegal on fight week. When he took a illegal fucking IV in his house, which basically could have been covering up his fucking PED use, right? But they didn't report that until months after the fight because they knew it wouldn't be such a big story at that point. And then when they were commenting on it, it's like, blah, 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 we're the commission. We didn't see any problem with it, even though it broke fucking WADA protocol. And you can find it in WADA protocols that you can't do it, but he did it. And you guys saw it when you went to fucking test him. And the reason they do it is because it's used to fucking cover up fucking people that are cheating. But he didn't do anything wrong. Of course he didn't. Because you were making a lot of money off of Floyd Mayweather fights. When jealous crybabies get a platform, shake my head. We just were talking about Barbershop Fred. Yes, Barbershop Fred. But let's move forward to next boxing topic. We don't need to be caught up on all this. So the man who's being called the next Sugar Ray Leonard, Abdullah Mason. Sorry if I say his name wrong. I still think there's an A at the back of his name, even though right now I see there isn't. He was just obviously called out by tough Cuban fighter Andy Cruz, who should be on that Cuban card this weekend. That would be great if he would have been on that. But Abdullah Mason fight is easy to make. Tell him to sign it. He's been offered it. Well, the difference is that Andy Cruz is a matchroom fighter and Abdullah Mason is a top-ranked fighter. I don't see any way Top Rank would maneuver Abdullah Mason towards an Andy Cruz at this point of his career. Maybe down the road, because in truth, I think Abdullah Mason will fucking knock Andy Cruz the fuck out. But, all things in due time. So all this talk about black guys every live, why don't you hop on their live streams? Dale, you're the one that came here and started this black guy talk. Before you literally came here, nobody was talking about this. Ask anybody in the live if any fucking black people fucking conversation was going on. Literally nothing. Not fucking one fucking little bit. But you bring it, right? And as far as going on any of their platforms, I've been on all their platforms. I talked to all those guys, and the majority of them have blocked me all in their channels because they can't fucking deal with fucking truth. When you go on their channels and you talk boxing, they fucking block you, run for the hills, because they're all peddling fucking shit. If you fucking watch them and you don't know that, you're stupider than you fucking look. And you look stupid. What's the main reason promoters don't work together? Because they're collecting money on their own, right? They don't want to share it. They don't want to have to split the fucking money they earn with other promoters. If you start working with other promoters and other fighters, now the commission is split between the two of them. If you co-promote, now you have less of a pile of cash to take yourself. Promoters are not getting fucking broke. They're fucking making shitloads of money. There's a reason Al Heyman left the music business to get into boxing, right? Because people get into boxing and try to promote it all the time because they know there's fucking bags of money to be made. Bags of money. We were all talking boxing until you came here, Dale. Exactly. And we're talking boxing now. And of course, here you are being a dickhead. And literally, we're fucking talking about Abdullah Mason being the next Sugar Ray Leonard in boxing. But I'm sure you're going to get bent out of shape by that because obviously that's racist. But what do you guys think about Abdullah Mason? When you think about where he is right now, it's very similar to where Boots Ennis was maybe 3, 4 years ago, right? The difference is Boots Ennis didn't have a major promoter. He wasn't part of the PBC, but yet he was on PBC cards on Showtime. But obviously, he wasn't committed to them, so they weren't committed to him. One reason why obviously his career stagnated and he didn't get pushed sort of faster than he should have. He was the one fighter truly they could have developed into a superstar, right? Out of a prospect, which is something the PBC has never done. Look at this fucking guy. Clown. Yeah, he's garbage. You can't be fucking more of a hypocrite and more fucking ridiculous than this fucking clown. But yeah, he's garbage. 20-year-old kid, fucking looks like one of the best fighters with the most upside in boxing today. But yeah, he's garbage. Obviously, right now, he's really getting a lot of push, right? Being put into the same names with Shakur Stevenson, Tank Davis, obviously guys like Keyshawn Davis as well. Already, he's being talked about with relationship to them. And you know Top Rank is not going to move him that fast. They're going to do what they do. When Keyshawn Davis moves up to 140, Abdullah Mason is going to be moved into that WBO 135-pound world title fight, right? And they'll give him a title, and then gradually they'll continue to build him up, move him forward, depending on what options are available to him. But what do you guys think? When you think about a Boots Ennis or a Abdullah Mason, two fighters that have, you know, everything you would think you need to be the future pound-for-pound great fighter in boxing. Tall, long, fast, good power, right? Good technique, right? There's nothing that these guys don't have. The only thing we don't know about are the intangibles. Chin, IQ, dog, you know, physical toughness, not brittle or fragile, which some guys tend to be. So what do you think? Who do you think potentially has the highest upside? Obviously, Boots is a little ahead of the curve right now, but do you rate Abdullah Mason above, or do you rate Boots Ennis above based on their upward momentum, their trajectory? Let me know in the comment section below. What do you guys think? I'm not really interested in any prospect until I see them in the ring with live opponents. Well, you can't blame Abdullah Mason because he was supposed to be in there with Cabrera in his last fight. Cabrera pulled out of the fight. And Cabrera is a guy that we've seen in with very good opposition. Obviously, he gave Cruz a very tough fight. He fought Zepeda, and people were looking for him to give Zepeda a good fight based on his performance against Cruz. Zepeda went in there, fucking destroyed him. Which is why after that fight, people really were hyping up Zepeda, thinking this dude is fucking the man at 135. We got to get him in with one of these champions to see really how good he is. And then, of course, then he faces Tevin Farmer and kind of gets exposed. And a lot of the luster he had sort of came off of him. And now he's trying to probably rebuild himself a little bit from what happened there. The kid got dropped by a tackle maker. See, the stupidity with people like him is, as old as Dale is, you think he would fucking be more educated and not so ignorant. A lot of great fighters early in their career lost, got dropped by tackle makers, lost fights, and got beat fucking by guys that were nobodies. Juan Manuel Marquez lost his first professional fight. Fucking Bernard Hopkins lost his first fight. Hammer and Hank Armstrong, I think, lost 2 of his first 3 fights, right? And there's obviously many examples that are similar to this. This kid is a young kid. Obviously, he got caught and dropped, got up, and ended up stopping the guy. So what he showed you was a lot of heart and the ability to fucking deal with issues. And that's the whole reason why you take these opponents early on, so that you deal with cuts. You deal with knockdowns. You deal with rough play and all kinds of bullshit, which proves you have that extra thing you need to be a great fighter. That's why I praised Keyshawn Davis when he fought that one dude that wasn't really supposed to be great. And that kid fucking gave Keyshawn Davis a hell of a fight. Dirty as fuck, right? But yet Keyshawn was able to deal with it, dealt with it, took it, and I knew that that was going to be beneficial for him moving forward because he's never probably going to be in with an opponent that's dirtier and more physical than that kid was, right? And he was able to deal with him. So that means he's going to be able to deal with that shit whenever it pops up. Where are we? So somehow Bivol dropped his WBC belt. Do you think it's a duck to Benavidez? God, no. How do you duck Benavidez to go fight Beterbiev? Beterbiev was historically one of the top 10 light heavyweights in boxing history. David Benavidez is not top 10 at any weight division at this point. Not 168, not 175. The kid is really unproven, really, for the most part. He's starting to prove himself a little more, but at 175, he hasn't proven fucking anything. So how do you duck him to fight a guy who is far fucking ranked higher, far more proven, a guy that was undisputed at the weight class, a guy who's a pound for pound top 10 fighter? That's just a stupid fucking take from people pushing narratives and agenda, because nobody should believe that Bivol ducked him. Kovalev and Ward both got dropped heavily by Daryl Boone, who's a journeyman. Yeah, Jay, you can't talk to people that are morons because you pretend you've watched boxing for so long, but yet you didn't fucking take anything in from the sport. And the problem is he's too much on those fucking LDBC channels, and he starts fucking buying their fucking bullshit and their philosophies. Starts rotting his brain. Schofield Sr. speaks very highly of his son's power and ability to knock down a lot of the new fighters in his class. Do you see that potential in him? I don't think Schofield is as good as fucking Abdullah Mason. I think if he faces Abdullah Mason, he will get fucking beaten and battered. He's like Sean Porter, right? Abdullah Mason is more like Boots Ennis. So Sean Porter was able to win titles. He was a tough fighter for everyone, but he was never great. He was never elite. Whenever he faced a top fighter, he lost every single time, right? That's the difference. He's a solid fighter who can have a solid career, but he's never going to be elite. He's never going to be one of the best fighters or the top fighter in his division, whatever division that may be. He better stay away from Lomachenko, the legend. I don't remember Kovalev getting dropped by Boone. He did. And somehow, much like Deontay Wilder's knocked down early on in his career, those videos disappeared completely. And you virtually can't find them anywhere. I think they bought all those videos because they didn't want to have that shit pop out too early in their careers. But it is what it is, right? When you fight opponents, anything can happen, especially hard punchers. But so happens that I'm comparing Abdullah Mason to Sugar Ray Leonard because on X I saw this post about Leonard being compared to De La Hoya and who wins. And for me, this is kind of an easy fucking fight to pick. But I'll be fair. I was a huge Leonard fan. I grew up, Leonard, idolizing Leonard. Whereas De La Hoya, I never liked. I was never a fan of De La Hoya's. I respect De La Hoya, but I was never a fan of De La Hoya's. So for me, just based on that, it's obvious I'm going to pick Leonard over De La Hoya. But that's why I posed the question to you guys. 19 of you are in here. What's your opinion on a Leonard De La Hoya matchup? Who do you think wins? Obviously, when we break down the intangibles, both are historical great fighters. You could say that De La Hoya has a better overall resume than Leonard does because he just has more great fights. But Leonard, I think, has the higher quality fights, the ones he did win, Duran, Hagler, and obviously Hearns, arguably better than anybody that De La Hoya beat. but those are three big fights. I mean, obviously De La Hoya had a fucking deep resume with a lot of great fighters on his career. Obviously, De La Hoya is a five-weight world champion, so is Leonard, but De La Hoya did it a little more the way you should do it, by beating champions and not necessarily using a side fucking status to maneuver yourself into positions, winning two titles in one fight against a one-arm fighter who probably wasn't even the best fighter in the divisions. Um, but obviously, Leonard had a lot of health issues. His retina surgeries, several of them, at that time, easily could have sent him into retirement. But because he was so fucking stubborn, so fucking uh, confident, so arrogant, kind of like Lomachenko as well. These guys, always believed they were great and they could overcome everything. Technique says, I got Leonard. Yeah, he fought Boone twice. I forgot. Peak Oscar at 147 was incredible, but I think Leonard beats him by UD. The Mosley rematch and Trinidad were disgusting robberies, especially knowing that Mosley was fucking on the PEDs, right? And the Trinidad fight. Well, you can be critical of De La Hoya for not ending better, and he obviously has to take some criticism because of that. You win fucking fights by winning rounds. It doesn't matter if you throw away the last three rounds, if you won the first fucking 8 rounds, right? Like, so that shouldn't have fucking mattered in the long scale of things. But, boxing is fucking boxing. Uh, People, I think, wanted De La Hoya to lose to Trinidad because they like Trinidad more. Has Mason beat a solid opponent? The guy I seen didn't look too good. Well, that's the thing. He was supposed to fight Cabrera, but Cabrera pulled out of the fight. And they were just trying to do a rematch, or not a rematch, but re-get that fight started again. And Cabrera, once again, this week, pulled out once again. So obviously Top Rank is trying hard to find an opponent with name recognition, with a good skill set that can be a good opponent for Mason. And that's why obviously Andy Cruz jumped in and said, well, I'll be your Huckleberry. But he's not a hard puncher. He's a very skilled fighter. So there are similarities between him and Cabrera, but I think everybody would admit that Andy Cruz is better than fucking Cabrera. But maybe it is a fight that we could see happen before the end of 2025, right? To be fair. I don't know if it's next, but maybe we could see it pretty early. Gilberto Ramirez looks like he'll be fighting Dortukis June 28th. Yes, that is the plan. He's ducking a Jai Opataya fight. Kramer, he hasn't had a real fight yet. What is that thing on your head? That thing, I'm making fucking boxing great again, Mirage. Don't fucking be against it. Be for it. Be the solution, not a problem. Be one of the people on YouTube making boxing great by supporting the sport and fucking pushing the sport. Not one of these guys hurting the sport and ruining the sport. And I did hear that blondes have more fun, so I figured I'd test it out. We'll see what kind of bitches hit me up in the fucking chat section later on. We will see, but I'm trying to make boxing great, and this is one step towards it. Every man needs to do their part. This is my part. Spending some money to fucking look like the legend. But Mirage, you're in the house. So what's your opinion? Who do you think would win between Leonard and De La Hoya, both in their prime? It's an interesting fight. We were comparing, obviously, Abdullah Mason to Leonard as far as his ability, his upside, and his potential. Obviously, he doesn't have the amateur pedigree that Leonard has, or De La Hoya for that fact. But he is kind of similar to a Boots Ennis, right? Fighters that were good, but obviously didn't have stellar amateur performances, jumped into the pros really early. And at this point, we're waiting to see if they can really prove that they are great fighters. Come on, Sean, you could have gotten a better quality Trump wig. I don't know. I'm just shopping on fucking Amazon. So you're looking at pictures, trying to see which one looks better. But I think what I need to do is I need to shave off my beard and make my face orange. And I think that would really add to the whole fucking look a lot more. And obviously I need to take my glasses off, but then I can't fucking see what you guys are writing. So that would be kind of counterproductive. I can't imagine that I fucking went so long without wearing glasses because trying to read was fucking. My eyes must have got worse because it could not have been this bad. I don't know how I suffered through it, but I did. And now I don't. Oh, that's much better. I can read. I can read, finally. At 57 years old, I finally can read. My mom will be so proud. Just in time. Good morning. What's up, Chicano U-Turn? Welcome. Prime Oscar gives anyone a tough fight. Yeah, but we're not talking a tough fight. I think Oscar does give Leonard a tough fight, but who do you have winning? Mason has looked disappointing in the last few fights, looking like Spence. Looking like Spence. Well, early on in Spence's career, Spence, who obviously had a far more prodigious amateur career than Mason did, and obviously at 20 years old wasn't fighting the same level of opposition. 50-50, what a fucking fence sitter. Jesus Christ. Obviously, you grew up in the De La Hoya fucking era, not like me who grew up in the Leonard fucking era. But I think the difference between Leonard and De La Hoya, and let me just give it to you. De La Hoya was a skilled fighter, great hand speed, one of the best left hooks in boxing, right? Good movement, a little fucking stiff in the legs, a little robotic in his boxing style, great fucking chin, great chin, right? Probably something that people dismiss and don't give enough attention to. John Smith is picking De La Hoya. Fucking look at John Smith coming in here and shaking shit up with his De La Hoya push. But what De La Hoya didn't have is what made Leonard great. Leonard had literally the ability to adjust during a fight. De La Hoya, like many great fighters today, they're only as good as they're trained leading up to a fight. They can't adjust in a ring. They can't completely change their style. You could see this with De La Hoya. He'd come in one fight and do something very specific. And then he'd come in another fight and do something completely opposite of that. Different trainer, different style. And he'd do that a lot, right? A lot. Whereas Leonard literally could fucking adjust in the ring. The way he beat Tommy Hearns, he couldn't outbox him. He couldn't get past his jab and his right hand. So what did he do? He learned against Duran how to be fucking aggressive, come forward fighter. He did that, ended up fucking breaking Hearns down, stopping him in the 14th round, right? You know, literally did what he had to do to get the win. De La Hoya never did that in his entire fucking career. Never. And that's the clear difference between the two of them. Sugar Ray Leonard was a lot more Ali. De La Hoya was a lot more George Foreman. And so when you put these two guys in with each other, it's clear who was going to win. Not that it wouldn't be close, not that it wouldn't be competitive, but Leonard could make the adjustments to get the win. De La Hoya couldn't. So if he didn't have the right game plan, he would inevitably lose, like he did to Mosley. You're a troll too. Great John McCuck, the troll is here. De La Hoya Prime was at 135, where he had the size advantage plus all the natural talent he had. Exactly, right? And that's also the difference. His prime was 135, maybe 140. Leonard's prime was obviously 147, where he was fucking phenomenal. Fast hands, fast feet, great combination puncher, right? Obviously a great boxer with great boxing technique, great chin, tough as nails. He lost his first fight with Duran, not because he lost to Duran, but because mentally he got pulled into a fucking war with Duran and wanted to literally beat the fuck out of Duran, which played in Duran's style. But Leonard gave as good as he could and took it against Duran, right? Which shows you the kind of fighter he was. Tough as nails, old school, fucking throwback, but with new style skills. Oscar versus Devin at 140. Oh my God, fucking Oscar knocks Devin Haney out in fucking 4 rounds. 4 rounds, De La Hoya would knock his ass out. Oscar is fucking way better than fucking Ryan Garcia. He got a jab. Fucking he'd pepper fucking Devin Haney with that jab. Boom, 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 boom. His right hand, dangerous. And then that left hand would come out of nowhere. And fucking Devin Haney would never get up. He'd be fucking flatlined on the ground, fucking calling for his daddy. And that's not a negative. De La Hoya beat a lot of great fighters. It's just stylistically, Devin Haney can't avoid a left hand. And if he can't avoid fucking Ryan Garcia's left hand, what was he going to do against fucking Leonard? Against De La Hoya. A guy with fast feet, fast hands, great boxing ability, a fucking great jab. Devin Haney would be saying, sayonara, good night, bye-bye. My career is over before it began. Oscar was a great finisher, unlike Ryan. Yeah, because he didn't rely on one punch, right? He could go to the body. He could use the right hand. He had a great jab. Yeah, Ryan is just a one-handed fighter. Great left hand, but one-handed fighter. What's up, Mike? Did you see the president of Mexico organize the biggest boxing class in the world? I saw that with De La Hoya, led by Duran, Chavez Sr., and De La Hoya, Sean. I didn't see Duran and Chavez there, but that's nice those guys were there. And then Oscar was there doing what Oscar does, so that was good. Thoughts on Haney versus Ramirez? It's a tough fight, right? I would think that out of all the fights, maybe that's not the toughest. Maybe Barboza's the toughest. Barboza literally beat Ramirez, and now he's facing Tio. Stylistically, I think he's all wrong for Tio. But Ramirez is tough, big, taller, longer, physically bigger than Devin Haney, naturally. Devin Haney on fight night might look similar to Ramirez, but Ramirez is naturally a bigger guy than him. Obviously, Ramirez was a top-level amateur, part of the U.S. Olympic team, a unified world champion at 140, when literally 140 was good with Taylor, Ramirez, Prograis, right? When they were at the top of their game, not after they had all started to slide a little bit. Had some great wins, has a great left hand, is physical, right? So it could be a terrible matchup for Devin Haney. Of course, Mexican boxing number one's going to say Haney gets stopped. You're always going to push the Mexican fighter. So I don't know how much we can take that into consideration, even though I do think Ramirez has the ability to stop Devin Haney. I don't know if he will, but a lot of it depends on Devin Haney. Is he broken mentally? Is he going to be able to get away from Ramirez's left hand? Can he deal with Ramirez pushing him backwards and being physical with him, getting him on the ropes? And you know, Ramirez is not a fucking Lomachenko. He's like a big guy, right? With long arms. Unlike Lomachenko, who gave up tons of height, tons of weight, and reach. That's not going to be a fucking issue with my man. No fucking way. Let's just check this out. 140. Ramirez is no slouch. People say he's past his prime, but losing to Barboza, right? That's not the worst thing in the world. It's funny. Barboza is 1 year older than Ramirez. Who would have thought? Fucking Barboza waited a long time for a big fight. So 32 years old, 5'10", with a 72-inch reach. 29-2, never been knocked out, 18 KOs. You just lost to Barboza Jr. in a competitive fight, but obviously Barboza's really at his prime right now. He lost to Taylor, and that was easily Taylor's best performance, but it was still a close fight. You know, it's not like he got destroyed. Has victories over Petraza, Comey, Rancis Bartholomew, fucking against Postal, Maurice Hooker, Jose Cepeda, Antonio Orozco, Amir Iman. Like, those are 8 quality victories, right? Mike Reed as well, you know, who was a very hyped amateur fighter and did well in the pros. So it could be a very difficult night for Devin Haney. Devin Haney, 5'9", with a 71-inch reach. So he's shorter, also has a shorter reach, right? So if Ramirez can establish his jab, push Devin Haney back, beat him on the body like he did with Hooker, and eventually fucking load up one of those left hands, it could be a terrible fucking evening for Devin Haney. But if Devin Haney can use his legs, use his jab, outbox Ramirez, he could win, clearly. Mason get stopped. Huh? What's Mason get stopped? Can Haney keep up with opponents his size? That's the question, right? We'll find out. Who you have, Charles Conwell or Perez? Which Perez? I got to go Charles Conwell, even though I'm not sure what Perez it is. I have to check that out in a minute. Funduro versus Badila. Funduro is going to be fighting Badila. Who? How's Sebastian Funduro going to fight another cherry pick opponent? How does that happen? How come the WBC isn't mandating him to face fucking Virgil Ortiz? I used to gauge Boxing Channel by asking if they knew who Angel Manfredi was. Well, if you don't know who Angel Manfredi is, you can't really even say you were a Floyd Mayweather fan, because fucking that was one of the first legitimate wins, right? So, yeah, Ramirez is too slow. He is too slow, right? And that's the benefit that Devin Haney has. Ramirez is too slow. But if Ramirez can land his jab, push Haney backwards against the ropes, you're going to make Devin Haney have to do an inside fight without any power against the guy who physically is bigger, hits harder, right? It could be a long night. Will Haney weigh in 2 days before the fight behind closed doors for his fight as well? Is that the way that unfolded? It's the corruption of boxing. I would not be surprised if that happened. Seems too risky. They picked Ramirez before potential Ryan fight. Do you give Rolly a chance? Rolly definitely has a chance. Ryan's got his chin up in the air. Rolly fucking throws big, powerful hooks. He gave Tank Davis some tough rounds early on in that fight before fucking, you know, being too reckless and getting countered, right? So I could expect Rolly to definitely fucking drop Ryan Garcia. The question is, at 147, is Rolly going to be able to deal with Ryan Garcia? I don't know if Rolly is a 147-pound fighter, but Ryan Garcia is most definitely a 140-pound fighter. Most definitely. But where's that thing? What did we just say? Who did you just talk about? Who's got a fight? Oh, fucking Sebastian Funduro. Come on, don't tell me they got a fight set already and it's some bum-ass fucking opponent, because that's a bad look, especially the WBC mandating shit right now. Yeah, nothing hooked, nothing scheduled yet. Where are you getting this information? Charles Conwell, does he get a fight scheduled yet? No. Is that what you're hearing? Because that's not on BoxRec yet, but if BoxRec doesn't have it listed, doesn't mean it's not true. Seems too risky. Yeah. UFC started doing 36-hour weigh-ins, and some boxing commissions started doing the same thing. Well, it's probably healthier for the people, right, to do that. Hopefully the fights being outside don't ruin it. Yeah, well, I would think it should be fine at that part of the season, right? The rains of spring have pretty much faded away. So it should be good. And they're probably going to have a tent over the fight, over the ring anyway, since it's not going to be really a fight card that's trying to get a ton of people watching, even though I'm sure there's going to be shitloads of people that just roll in and obviously are going to be behind the lines. We'll see what happens with regards to that. They better have a lot of cops in the streets to make sure it doesn't become out of pocket. Ryan looked much better than he did for the Haney fight. Saw him on the bad earlier. Looks sharp. There's a nice rhythm to his movement. Rolly is going to sleep. Well, I hope so, right? Because Ryan looked shit in that Devin Haney build-up. Mentally, he looked like a fucking mental case. Like, it's no surprise everybody was expecting Devin Haney to win that fight. And a lot of us were feeling Devin Haney potentially was going to fucking stop Ryan Garcia. The surprise was that Ryan Garcia looked so shit, yet he still was so dangerous against Devin Haney, which brings up questions about what will Devin Haney do against a sharp, strong, fast Ryan Garcia with good endurance. It could be a short night for him. I heard invite only. Yeah, me too. But obviously, that's only going to be within a certain section. You can't stop people from New York going on the street, right? So you're still going to have probably tons of passerbys and people that know the event is there that just roll in. I mean, and it's going to be what, in the middle of fucking the intersection? So you're going to have to like block off all the streets from traffic, which isn't a big deal. That's mostly just taxis, I would think, at that part of the city. So you got a lot of room for fucking New Yorkers just to roll up on. Rolly might drop Ryan, but I doubt he will knock him out or win on points. Well, that's what I mean. I could definitely see him dropping Ryan, but I think at 147, his power is probably not going to be that great, and Ryan Garcia is probably going to be stronger at 147. Haney was the definition of weight bully. We had a big conversation earlier about weight bully. Don't get M. Kramer caught up in this topic once again. But obviously, I saw this and I had to talk about it because I'm a huge Pacquiao fan. Manny Pacquiao, one of the greatest of all time, world title in record 8 divisions. Only boxer to hold world titles in across 4 decades. 3-time Ring Magazine Fighter of the Year. Only fighter to be lineal champion in 5 weight divisions. See, that's the impressive thing, right? People sort of dismiss and downplay the 8 divisions, but to be the only fighter to be lineal champion in 5 weight classes, that's impressive, because there's a handful of fighters who are 5 weight world champions, but only Pacquiao's been lineal in 5. Not Floyd Mayweather, not fucking Duran, not Leonard, not De La Hoya, only Manny. Oldest fighter to win a welterweight title. These are all fucking historically great things to talk about. Participated in the highest grossing boxing event ever, even though it almost ruined boxing in America. That's what happens when you make fans wait fucking 7 years and then give us an underperforming fight. Wins over Morales, Barrera, De La Hoya, Hatton, Cotto, Margarito, Mosley, Bradley, Broner, Thurman. Out of those fighters, who's a Hall of Famer? Morales, Barrera. How come Marquez isn't there? Is Marquez not there? How come Marquez not there? Manny got a win over Marquez, right? So why isn't Marquez there? That's weird. So it should be Morales, Barrera, Marquez, De La Hoya, 4 of the probably top 10 Mexican fighters of all time. Hatton. I don't think Hatton deserves to be a Hall of Famer, but I wouldn't be surprised if he is. Cotto, Margarito definitely shouldn't be. Mosley, Bradley, Broner shouldn't be. Keith Thurman at this point shouldn't be. But that's 8 Hall of Famers on your resume. Not bad. The event is going to look awesome in that location. I remember Eddie Hearn did something similar during the pandemic. That would have been the fucking perfect time to do it. Nobody on the streets. You do like an event like that in Times Square during the pandemic, it's going to look like fucking a zombie apocalypse movie. It would be fucking wicked. That was literally the best time to ever do zombie apocalypse movies. Do you guys remember watching those early videos on YouTube from China when they had these American guys? One particular American guy did quite a few videos, and it was just his everyday incursion to going to the grocery store in China, and how it was literally a fucking ghost town. It was fucking crazy. And the outfit he had to wear, I lived in Taiwan. It's a hop, skip, and a jump from China. Literally, you could fucking swim from one part of Taiwan, one island off the coast, to China if you're a good swimmer. And I guarantee you, nobody was fucking dressing like that to go to the fucking grocery store in Taiwan. China was just fucking another world. Ridiculous, crazy. I saw that, and I'm living in Taiwan going, fuck me. You know this shit's coming to Taiwan because SARS came from China, came to Taiwan, and now you have COVID, and you look at these people, it's ridiculous. You'd think there's just dead bodies on the side of the road with blood pouring out their ears and their eyes. It was mental. Manny is an absolute legend. To come from where he comes from, my God, it might be the greatest boxing story ever. The slums of the Philippines are no joke. I know, I've been there. I've been to Manny Pacquiao's gym in General Santos as well. Morales, Barrera, Marquez, Hatton, Oscar, Bradley, Cotto, Mosley, all inducted. Marquez. Wow, I never knew Yoko Lopez was never champion. Really? Never champion. Yeah, I'm surprised to hear that as well. Because that was the time where there was lots of great matchups, right? Matthew Saad Muhammad, fucking, all the Muhammads at that time. Didn't Manny's dad eat his dog and that caused him to run away and become homeless? I don't know about that because I don't think he lived with his dad. I think his mother and his brother and whoever else was in his family were living with their uncle. And I don't know if you've been to the Philippines, people got dogs, but they don't got the attachment that like I got to a dog, right? Some people do, more so, more now and now, especially if you come from educated, richer sort of lifestyle. But when you walk around Philippines, there's fucking dogs everywhere. I don't know if they're your dogs, but there's literally dogs everywhere. And because of that, there's just puppies and new dogs everywhere. There's no fucking neutering. So there's street dogs fucking everywhere. You can have a dog like I had a cat as a kid. They come to your house, they leave your house, another one comes, another one goes, and it's just like a fucking endless cycle of cats staying in a bread and breakfast and then going away. Dogs are the same in the Philippines, right? Also, you grew up in that culture and they're fucking cockfights like crazy. They're fucking killing pigs on the stoop right in front of your fucking house and barbecuing it. So they got a real farmer mentality. So I can't imagine that story is accurate. I don't blame them for eating dogs, especially if food is scarce. Well, that's it. Like a lot of those countries where people ate dogs and rats, it was like China during the Cultural Revolution when Mao took over with his little red book and there was no food, right? And then you think Vietnam after fucking World Vietnam War, right? And then Philippines consistently also after World War II and everything else. People are going to eat what you can eat. It is what it is. Like look at Korean culture. Hot dogs are such an integral part of Korean culture right now because it was easy food to get during the Korean War from the Americans. Fucking hot dogs. Don't tell me I'm eating any fucking food in Korea that staple meat is fucking hot dogs. Because I'll tell you, I ain't eating that shit. There must be fucking barbecue somewhere. Because I ain't eating no fucking dish that fucking main ingredient is fucking hot dogs. If I may buy hot dogs and I cook hot dogs, that's one thing. But to go somewhere and then buy hot dogs as the meat in the food, whatever, man. I ain't eating that shit. I can't believe in the Philippines people stew up leftover food that was thrown in the garbage. I guess they keep reboiling the food. Well, it's like India. When I went to India, like I stayed at what's the place that always raises money? You know, the Sally Ann. What's the Sally Ann's real name? Salvation Army. So I stayed at the Salvation Army in Calcutta, right? And everybody knows Salvation Army. So we went there. We walk into the room. A fucking rat this big runs across the floor. So the first thing I did is take the highest bunk fucking available. On the bottom bunk, there's some fucking thing crawling on the fucking pillow. And I'm like, what the fuck is that disgusting fucking thing? And then you're in India. So coming off the airplane, you're staring out the window like this. Like, I don't know what the fuck I'm seeing. And I just came from Thailand after being in Thailand for 6 months. And then I came to India and it was a whole nother world. You walk out of the Salvation Army to go to the big hotel around the corner on the main street and just homeless people fucking sleeping on the streets, families everywhere. Hands out, kids' legs that they break and deform so they can get more money, right? It's crazy. And then I just got fucking flip flops, a t shirt, and shorts. real fucking beach wear. I walk into this hotel with big guards, right, standing there, and you walk in, they got their whole fucking English like thing. You walk in, there's cars. I go inside, buy a USA Today, use the bathroom, a nice bathroom with hot water. Go buy a coffee, and then I walk back to the Salvation Army and thinking, fuck me. What's going on here, man? This is like ridiculous. It's like completely two different cultures pushed up against each other. It's ridiculous. And Philippines ain't much different. You go through some place in the Philippines and it's just like, what the fuck, man? It's crazy. I would have left immediately. Yeah, but those stories are interesting, right? Like now, as a 57-year-old, and you go through that stuff, I look back at that times and I'm just like fucking blown away at things you saw, right? So it's cool. Obviously, when you're going through it, you're like, fuck me. what am I doing to myself? This is ridiculous. I met an Australian guy in Calcutta when I was going back, right? And I'm just buying a plane ticket from some table on the street, right? Because it's fucking India. So I don't even know if they're going to rip me off or whatever, but everybody's there. The tables are just on the street. You buy a ticket, the guy phones somebody, organizes it. He writes it just on a piece of paper, pulls it off. You pay him money. He gives you your ticket. You take it to the airport and fucking salah, you end up getting on an airplane. But this Australian guy is there and he's like, sorry, man, can I ask you for a favor? I'm like, sure, what's up? He's like, I lost all my money and I'm fucking stranded in India. Can you buy me a ticket to Bangkok? And once we get to Bangkok, I'll phone my parents and I'll pay you back. So, of course, I did it. Imagine you're fucking stuck in India with no money, right? As a white guy. Holy fuck. And needless to say, I mean, we went to Thailand. He gave me back my money. It was all cool. But I think, Jesus, man, can you imagine? And this was before computers. You had to go to the I had to go to the post office in every big city to see if family and friends sent mail to me because that's what you're getting, like letters. Uh, I would have been depressed. Ask Mirage if he has had kangaroo meat. Leonard would not be too fast for De La Hoya. I don't think he's too fast. Both of them are super fast. I think Leonard's feet are faster than De La Hoya, but I think obviously De La Hoya had super fast hands too, but so did Leonard. Both of them had super fast hands. But Leonard was just a more intuitive fighter, right? Being intuitive, right? That's the difference between being great and being once in a lifetime. And that's Leonard. He was intuitive, like Muhammad Ali. You would never say that Oscar De La Hoya was fucking intuitive. We had 3 days of boxing in a row in May. We have 3 days of boxing in May. Yeah. With Inui fucking being on that card, Canelo as well. What's the other one? Canelo, Inui, and I forget the other one. Who is it? What is it? Oh, that'll be a nice break because May is going to be so busy at work with fucking PPT shit. I fucking hate PPTs, man. I grew up with no computers, have to fucking doing PPTs and shit. Oh, what a fucking ball bust. Hate it. But, it is what it is. Work is work. That's why it's called work and not fucking play. If I was getting paid to play, that would be even better. Only if I could sell myself out and make money off of YouTube. Wouldn't that be the fucking dream? Turkey Al Sheik, where are you? If you got fucking all these clowns working on fucking your shows, you can have this clown too. And the wig is free. I think this wig needs to be more higher. Like, doesn't he have more of a lift? Is this side or this side? We need to like push this shit up somehow. Now I just look like Trump that went golfing. I didn't want to mess it up because, I don't have any I just I'm a blonde guy with a ponytail in the back. I don't know if it looks so much like Trump, but whatever. There you go. Trump, the original. uh, but thanks everyone for jumping in. It was another great live. I appreciate everyone jumping in. It was fun. Remember to hit the like button. And if you're not subscribed, the least you can do is subscribe. Give a brother another subscriber. It will only benefit me to get 1,000 subs. So that would be nice sometime before 2030. But I will see you next time. The next live will be fight night. I will go live for the Boots Ennis fight since it's live on DAZN. So probably around 9 or 10 in the morning. It depends on which fights are early. Sometimes I walk the dog and have a coffee and I choose just to chillax before going live because, once you go live, you got to focus here. So I would say 9:30 Saturday night your time if it's Eastern time, or my time it's 9:30 a.m. in Taiwan time. But I'll be going live for that so we can see Stanionis versus Boots Ennis and see who's the real killer at 147 and who potentially is going to take over the division. Boots Ennis might win this fight and decide to fucking move straight up to 154 pounds, which wouldn't be the worst thing in the world, but obviously it would be a little disappointing for the welterweight division since it is pretty weak right now and we need everybody we can get. That's why we're happy to bring Ryan Garcia, Devin Haney, Ramirez, Barboza, Tio. You bring all those guys to 147 and finally we start getting a division worth talking about. But until this weekend, I will see you guys later. Peace out. Enjoy your week. Later.